There we are. Hello, and welcome to day 2 of the 1 to 50 challenge. My name is Brian Richards. I'm coming to you once again from Brisbane in Australia. And today we continue our journey as we pursue this 1 to 50 challenge. Can we take one piece of content, whether it's a video, a blog post even, or an audio of some kind like a podcast episode, can we do that once and transform it, multiply it into 50 or more different versions, different formats, so that we can get our same message out to more people, more audiences on multiple platforms. That's what we've set out to do. And yesterday we looked at a roadmap of how we are going to get there. Just before we get back on that journey, I just thought I should probably mention why the lighting's a little bit strange. We had a transformer in the street only about 30-40 yards away below a couple of days ago, and it's taken out my light fitting in my study. So I've got some temporary lighting up. That's why I look like I'm kind of in a cave, but we've got an electrician coming tomorrow and we'll be back to full illumination. Okay, I mentioned yesterday the internet has been a little bit funky. In fact, when I turned things on a couple of hours ago, it was very slow. It looks like it's recovered. We'll see how we go. As I mentioned yesterday, if it does turn bad for any particular reason, then I will redo the session and upload it. But yesterday's replay came out very nicely. So fingers crossed we should be okay again today. So let's get into it. We've got a pretty exciting session. I touched on this new technology yesterday, and I'm really looking forward to taking you a little bit deeper into the applications of this, what I think is quite breakthrough technology for any content creator. So to help us do that, I'm just going to share my screen again, as I did yesterday, and we'll revisit a roadmap that will hopefully be coming reasonably familiar. I'll just get rid of that little name label. And there we go. What I'll do today, I will also zoom in a little bit more frequently, I think, just to make it a bit easier to see. Now, if you haven't had the opportunity to watch the replay of day 1, obviously it would make a lot more sense if you do. I'm going to be continuing from there. I will do a brief overview, but we really want to press on today on day 2 and start looking at these many applications for this new technology. But just as by way of a refresher, this is our roadmap for the 4 days of the more formal part of the curriculum. And then I have 2 bonus days. So just to refresh, what this is showing is day 1, which we've now covered, where I put this whole content repurposing process in the broader context of why it's so important. And to help do that, I told just a little COVID-19 story about how I had this very significant promotion ready to go earlier in the year after months of preparation, a 6-week, $150,000 promotion. And of course, it just didn't seem the right thing to do or even feasible to be doing this while people became far more concerned about more pressing issues back in February, March, and so on. So this has been deferred, but what I am doing is making some of these services, which are in the authority marketing space, which is where I feel content repurposing has a particular application. This is being reserved now for my content repurposing private clients. I talked about the big strategic question: how do you tell your story in a way that differentiates you and your brand from everyone else in the industry? And I touched on a couple of key concepts around authority marketing in particular. We also talked about the reasons why to repurpose. I won't go over those again, but essentially what we're talking about in summary is to massively reduce overwhelm, both our own as well as that of our intended audience. And by slashing time and costs associated with getting our content in front of more people, we can immediately, virtually overnight, expand our content production so we can have more high quality content getting out to more people. And the technology we're about to have another look at in more depth today really is a key enabler. And hopefully after we finish the session, you'll see dozens of potential applications for how this can be applied. So if we can do that, that fundamentally has one primary outcome. Most content creators are producing content, going to all this trouble because they have a message and they are really wanting to improve people's lives to help them get a better result in whatever sphere that may be. And so the end result of all of this is to make life easier for the content creator and fundamentally to get to the end outcome, which is to improve the consumption of that content so the intended audience can have a greater benefit from that content. I mean, that's really what it's all about. Who is it for? A whole range of categories in terms of content creators, but fundamentally, if you podcast, live stream, create videos, all right, then we've pretty well got you covered. And we're going to be covering many of those arenas over the course of these 4 days together. And so just a summary, yesterday we did the overview. I went through this in more detail. Today we continue the journey into this new technology. Day 3 and 4 will then take that further, particularly looking at a source piece of content, which is video, whether it's a live stream or a recorded, uploaded video. Days 3 and 4 will go into that. Then as a bonus, as optional sessions on day 5 and 6, I'll run these additional sessions. Day 5, we'll go through the process again by way of summary, a quick run through again, but with the podcast episode so that we can see how it applies there. There's just a couple of little nuances where, of course, you're starting with an audio piece of content. We'll turn that into visual format. And day 6, we look specifically at Zoom because we can automate a number of the processes with all of these Zoom sessions that have been going on and benefit out of that process. I also touched on a surprise giveaway just to address that again. What I do at the end of this process is provide each participant a copy of all of these strategy maps that we're looking at here so that you can have a record of everything that we've covered, including these live stream replays. So there's day 3, for example, we'll get to tomorrow. You'll have all of these, but you won't just have the strategy maps that you see here. You'll also have the platform. And so what I'm doing there, going to release this. This is my StratMapper platform. I was going to release this as well earlier in the year. COVID kind of has deferred things there. And what I've decided now to do instead of releasing this commercially, and the entry-level account is $500 per annum, I've decided to release it for free with a free lifetime account to all participants in this challenge. And I'll see whether I even release it commercially at all. I'm really keen to help people face many of the challenges, and I think I'm best placed to help content creators, and that's why I've looked at my couple of dozen premier kind of premium services, and I've decided to focus just on content repurposing because of all the reasons I mentioned yesterday, in terms of, particularly in the US and the election coming up and so on. So everything that we are seeing here, I'm going to devote passion to helping content creators get their message out over the months ahead. And that includes giving them an extra resource, an extra here that may be helpful at some point around getting clarity and mapping processes and so on. But the fundamental service we're looking at is content repurposing, how that fits into this broader context of authority positioning. I also mentioned a referral rewards program, which is giving participants in this challenge an opportunity to win a done-for-you service. So my intention here is to give you all the tools, all the insight, benefit of my experience and support to help you do this yourself and your team in the most efficient way possible, so you can get cracking and get that content out to more people. At the end of this, though, I'm going to also present the opportunity to win a prize, and how you participate in that. I'll cover that in a minute, which is a full done-for-you service for your content. And I can explain more about that as we go through, but essentially I will do the work that you're seeing me take you through here. And the way to participate is cover the 50 challenge page. It's got the oh, by the way, the live stream is up there as well as in a couple of other places from yesterday. Being on my website, we'll look at that in a moment. This is the referral rewards program. Actually, last night I did a couple of things. I did a nice presentation we're going to go through today, but also a nifty little intro to this. This is my downtime. Intro to the referral rewards program. I don't want to be flippant about it though, because it's really important to me. As I mentioned yesterday, I really just want to focus on producing content for you, for participants in the challenge. I don't really want to be spending half my day or more out there, hustling in Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups or whatever, just to get some people into the challenge so that they can benefit from this. And that's why I'm producing this content, so I can help people. And I'd love more people to benefit, particularly the group of people I talked about yesterday, conscious content creators who are trying to do the right thing, and principled content creators. They're the ones I'm particularly trying to help. So I really want to focus on producing content and helping people. I don't want to spend any more time than I have to in the promotion of this challenge. If you can help me do that, if you can simply click on this link, that will give you your own referral link that will then track that connection if they register for the challenge before next week. All the details are here. The prize draw is going to be Thursday, June 11, and win this prize worth several $1,000s, to say the least, as you'll see as we go through these components, but also shy about referring, reducing your chances, because if there's a referrer to the winner, then the referrer also wins the same prize, so no one misses. It's the only way I can make this fair and encourage people to tell others as much as they can, so that everyone can benefit. And going forward, I intend to keep these sessions up beyond the challenge, to keep producing content to help people on their mission to get the message out to more people. Okay, so that's the referral rewards program. We've covered most elements now. How they join, by the way, if you click that, just so you know what happens, your page that looks something like this. You'll get your own link. You can tweet. I'm on Twitter a lot. You can share on Facebook, or you can just send an email or a private message somehow. I've prepared a little graphic. It kind of tells half the story anyway, and that's simply how that works. All right, let's go back and start pressing forward, because we've got a lot to cover today. When you get your own version of this strategy map, you'll be able to do the same things that I'm doing here. For example, we're on day 2, and I can go through this little space-time continuum thing. It doesn't look much, does it? After all that build-up, it doesn't look much. Okay, I've got a bit of a TARDIS for anyone old enough to remember. I've got a bit of a TARDIS here in this video explainer. This is last night I prepared this presentation. I thought, well, probably the easiest thing to do is embed it in this strategy mapping system, because we're used to working with it, and I really want to have a record that I can pass over to you. So when you get your user account, you'll have all these maps in your user account, and you won't have to go around in too many different places to find these. And so what I will do with even the live stream replays, I just thought that I'll also include those on a strategy map for each day, so that you've got those all in the one place in these maps. Okay, so this is the technology that I touched on yesterday. This has blown me away in terms of the power and the fact that it's such a breakthrough technology. I haven't seen anything else like it. To me, it appears to be the only web-enabled service that can do this, and particularly do it in the most efficient, elegant does. It's a beautiful piece of software, and its fundamental purpose is to reduce that overwhelm, both for us as well as for our intended audience. And it does it by creating a search engine for all of your content. If you can just imagine, we were back, for example, when I was doing my first computer and electrical engineering, computer science degrees, there wasn't any such thing as Google. They're very elementary websites. And as they started to, I mean, there were only a handful. They were university websites, government websites, and that was about it. And as commercial websites started to become more available, you had to know pre-Google, or actually other search engines first, you had to know where something was on a particular URL, on a particular website, to go to it. You couldn't just search. You really had to know, okay, that university website has that content, and I'll go there and somehow I'll find it in the very rudimentary menu systems we had back then. Of course, Google and others, Alta Vista and many others in the early days made that easier. This to me is quite similar to that phenomenon, because content creators can have a lot of video content, a lot of podcast or audio content. And what this does is transform our audio library into a Google-like search platform instantly, with no effort on our part, really. We can just click a few buttons, and we could have 3 years of video content instantly searchable, and a whole lot of other things. So to me, it's a search maximizer, but the real benefit of that, it creates a wow experience for our audience, and that's the consistent feedback. It's just as it was for me as well. It was kind of wow. And I'm someone who's been immersed in technology for over years. And at the same time, it's an overwhelm minimizer. As I say, for us as content creators, because we press a few buttons, for a lot of this, we only do it once, and then it's done. It just does its thing as we produce new content. But it's also a massive overwhelm minimizer for our audience, for our community. So let's dig into this and find out more about what Searchy can do. Now, I transformed this presentation I created last night into a video so that it could be embedded here. So I'm just going to stop and start this as we go through. So this is the big breakthrough. So before we get into the details, I just want you to imagine a number of scenarios that may apply. You wake up, you hop in the shower, you make your morning coffee or whatever beverage you prefer, and there's a big fat 0 next to your inbox. In other words, there's not the usual flood of questions and support requests and all the things that happen in a normal day. So no more repeated questions, the same things all your team may have answered possibly dozens of times. No more problems of the day to resolve because people have an urgent meeting or a session need an answer. You know, we've all been in that situation ourselves when we've wanted that answer, because I'm doing a live stream right now. I had 2 or 3 support questions on things this morning before coming straight into this session. All the time-sucking support problems are suddenly gone, particularly the recurrent ones, resolve themselves, because your clients and your team can answer those questions on their own within seconds. Wouldn't it be nice if that could happen? Wouldn't it be nice also if there was an easier and quicker way to access, let's say, a Facebook Live that you did 3 years ago, and use that clip for new content on your feed today with no hassle? So you remember something brilliant you said 3 years ago. You can't remember the exact time of the year even, let alone the exact video, but it's in there somewhere. Do you go and spend the time trying to find it and where it was on the video? Or do you simply put in a search keyword and go to it instantly? So imagine if your community could move towards their goals and get a better result and achieve their dreams more quickly and easily by instantly tapping into your brain 24/7 without you needing to be there from anywhere in the world. You could make all of this a reality if you had a real life set it and forget it system. Just did things once. Imagine if this were possible, that every video you ever created could live in an instantly accessible video library of your hard drive somewhere that allowed you to search each video with a keyword, and in a flash, you could arrive at the very second that keyword was said in that clip. You could share that searchable video library or playlist through a link or even directly on your website, wherever you want it, and formats that suit your website. Imagine if every time you produced a new video, it was immediately and automatically added to its very own library, automatically, where you could find it, share it, and repurpose it within minutes. It'd be pretty cool. And finally, imagine if your customer, your community, your audience, or potential audience member or team member, or even your grandmother, could easily search for a specific word, just like they do on Google, and be taken at warp speed right to the minute that word was said in the video. All they have to do is press play and boom, they're watching that specific segment immediately. So this is about having your very own Google-like search tool for every piece of content you've ever created. Isn't that amazing? Just one click, your audience can word search your content and successfully find exactly what they need super fast. All this and more now possible. So let's move on. Hopefully you can see why I was kind of blown away by this myself. A lot these days to do that. So these are some of the primary benefits that I see in this technology. Initially, boost content consumption. Consumption is an extreme challenge for content creators now, simply because of this massive flood every day of coming into the market. So this is for you if you're sick of seeing the content you create go to waste. Blood, sweat, and tears, and it just goes out and then kind of disappears. Instead, you want to boost consumption the fast and easy way. And the end result of all this is to help the audience get a better result. So you want your people to make more progress and get more results without having to coach them every step of the way. You want your content to do more of the heavy lifting in that regard. You want to eliminate what I've called this content paradox. You found the more content that you create, which is your primary task to go to all the trouble, but the more you do, the more resources it requires to process that content, the more questions you invoke, the more slow manual processes are required, and the more overwhelm is created for everyone. Now, to help with all that, if we can eliminate everyday tasks, this is for you if you've been trying to automate a simpler content process for months or even years. With the technology that has been available, it's been quite difficult, and you just feel some days you're just spinning your wheels just on this treadmill. If we can achieve all that, you can slash support by 80%, or in some cases 90% or more. And I'll give you a couple of examples of that in a minute, where before you wish there was a way to eliminate these endless questions and support tickets so you and your team can focus on what matters most. And right now, at this time, this year, with everything that's going on, what matters most is producing more quality content, do the things you do best, and get it out to more people who really can benefit from that message. Not fiddling around in the back office, rendering and reprocessing and all the stuff that goes into just getting something in front of someone. And so really what I think, this is my opinion, I think what we're doing here is we're accessing the future of content delivery in a similar way to the impact that Google had. Now we have a facility that enables us to dramatically overhaul the whole content delivery and distribution syndication process so easily, so effortlessly. It's really quite mind-blowing. And probably if you are like me, you might have been saying there must be a better way, and isn't it terrific? It has now arrived. That's how I feel. So fundamental outcome, overwhelm now has been slashed dramatically. And this very elusive goal that many of us have in life and in business is to simplify. If only we could simplify things, life could be so much better. Well, we're very much closer to that end goal now. Here's a couple of stories. Amy Porterfield is quite a kind of legendary name in digital marketing. In her subject area, she's very well regarded. She uses Searchy, which is the technology within her courses, and you can see her comments here. I won't go through all these. A couple of other users, I don't actually, that is Amy, but I don't have actually screenshots for these people. These are written mentions, but they talk about their own experiences with Searchy as well. And this is the consistent feedback. And similarly, I had a similar reaction the first time I saw this and started to work with it. Also, this was only publicly launched towards the end of last year, so still fairly recent, but it was created internally to solve some internal problems and then shared with the immediate community. And the reaction from the market's been incredibly strong for pretty obvious reasons. These are the key components of the Searchy platform. It includes video hosting. So we use, by using the system, we use their video player, and that brings a whole lot of benefits with it. So it's an enhanced form of content delivery. One of those key functions, of course, it's in the name, Searchy, is video and audio search. It takes us a long way down the track to content repurposing, which is what we're here to talk about in this challenge. It has inherent automation, which is very highly beneficial. It's so powerful. It's just fantastic. We can add audiences in so that we can track user behavior and get very sophisticated analytics. And overall, it's just a terrific content management system. These are the three fundamental steps that we go through in using the platform. First of all, we add media. So we can connect sources once, and then from that point forward, for example, if we connect a Facebook page, I've connected a Facebook page, a Facebook group, YouTube channels, so these sources here on the left, we can connect them by an integration, or we can just upload the content manually. The platform then automates a whole set of processes, transcribes, makes the content searchable, a whole lot of things. And then we simply share that content with the world, whether it's on a Kajabi platform, a ClickFunnels platform, WordPress site, any other platform, wherever you can put a code snippet, which you would do for many other purposes at the moment, like a YouTube player is a code widget. Wherever you can put a code snippet, either HTML or JavaScript, and majority of sites now accommodate that very easily because we're doing it for dozens and dozens of different things already. You can put a widget on your website, a player, playlists, embed it virtually anywhere, very few restrictions. And that means it can be embedded within your look and feel of your current digital assets. So these are some of the possibilities and applications: Facebook, Facebook Live, Stories, Instagram TV, Live, Twitter, Periscope, LinkedIn, podcasts, YouTube, Snapchat, webinars, membership videos, course videos, train videos, workshops, recordings, how-tos, meetings, presentations, interviews, case studies, testimonials, virtually any form of content, multimedia content. The big categories, of course, primarily video and audio. We can do some things as we go forward with some written text as well, but what Searchy is looking at primarily at this stage is video and audio, although they are working on technologies that will enable us to identify patterns within videos, for example, where you could have someone with, you're looking for someone with a blue shirt riding a bicycle in a particular video somewhere. They are working on the technology to be able to have that kind of pattern recognition as well down the track. So lots of exciting possibilities as well beyond what's immediately available to us just in primarily looking at video and audio. Over the course of this series, we are focusing in on 3 primary applications, and they are Facebook Lives, podcasts, and Zoom recordings. So just to finish out this little part of the process, and then we'll go back and have another quick look at what I did on my website. Yesterday I showed a couple of sample files, and today we'll just have another quick look. I went into it in a bit of detail yesterday, but we'll review that. And I'll also look at how I've uploaded the live stream replay from yesterday's session onto my site, and then that'll complete our introduction to Searchy for today. So essentially, we are looking at 3 primary applications through this series: Facebook Lives, Zoom recordings, and podcasts. That covers a big part of the content creation space. And what I'm going to do now is go through some before and after examples for the developers of the platform, because this software was developed for their own purposes. They are prodigious in the amount of content they create, and that created this content paradox for them, as I've called it. But they were feeling the pain because each day, for example, they would do some type of content for their various communities, hour-long Q&A sessions, all of which had to be processed, as you'll see. And that's how this software came to be. It was a solution to a problem they had, and so they developed this in-house solution. Now we have the benefit of it. Let's look at the first challenge they were faced with, and this is what their process was prior to developing this software. So with Facebook Lives, doing a lot of Facebook Lives, they would go live, they would download the video, they would send that away to Rev, for example, for transcription, wait for the transcription to return, pay extra for the SRT file, the captions file, upload the caption file, lose track of the Facebook Live because they're doing so many in the feed, and they're moving on always the next day, the next content, the next session, another hour, and then, okay, do it all again. Answer the same questions for the 100th time, potentially never use that content again because there's just so much. There's always this production line, and then just keep doing that like Groundhog Day every day. And also getting 110, 120 support questions each day around this content. Where was this? Where was that? Can I do this? So after Searchy, they now connect it once, go live, and then instantly that day's Facebook Live is available within minutes in the searchable library of Facebook Lives for their community. No more hands touched, no more processes, no more team, no more waiting. Incredible. And I'll show you how I've done that with the Facebook Live I did yesterday. Same process, but on a much smaller scale. These Q&A processes, these hour-long sessions, intent is right, trying to help the community, leave no question unaddressed. But the students would submit questions before the live. They would run the live, answer the questions, download the video, send it for transcription. Man, this is the scrubbing part. You've created the content. You've got another several sessions to prepare for, but now someone has to go back, scrub through the video, time code the video to try and be helpful to the community, compile the data in a spreadsheet of all those timestamps in that video and that subject, and that's when it was talked about. Message the students, repost to the members area with this additional information of timestamps and topics and everything to help them, and do that every day. After Searchy, you just connect Searchy once, provide the share link for that particular session. The students still submit questions. Facebook Live happens, and then the answers are available without any further work. Those support questions drop from 110, 120 a day to about 10. Massive savings in time and effort. Zoom meetings. Before Searchy, schedule the Zoom, have the meeting, remember to record it, wait for the recording process, which at the moment with all the demand could be a little bit, send for the transcription, wait for it to return, upload and share the recording, watch the replay, scrub again for relevant information, summarize it. Now connect, share, schedule, have the meeting, and then Zoom that session is available on a searchable hub of all meetings. Now, we don't have a podcast example specifically, even though they also produce a very popular marketing podcast series, hundreds of podcast episodes. I do have a course creation one that they prepared before. So create a course, upload videos to the members area, for some reason download, send for audio rip, and so on. Whole lot of steps after. Create the course, connect Searchy, create a simple playlist, and configure the access settings. Away you go. The job is done, and people can go into the course and look for whatever they may want there. So that's our little run through in terms of some of the benefits. I know I'm pushing beyond time again. So I'm going to wrap up now just by revisiting my website, Resolute Media. Yesterday, what I showed is some demonstration content, a couple of files, and I'll just cover this briefly. We'll spend a couple of minutes and then we'll wrap. So I chose a couple of files here and I put them in a playlist. So I just,
on a hot day in August.
And what I've done also today, I've added a few extra options in the player just so you can see them. But essentially, just to review, this is a simple piece of code that I've put on my website. This would replace a YouTube player, a Vimeo player, a Wistia player, whatever video media player is being used at the moment. And so this is the Searchy player, and this brings a whole lot of additional benefits. And I've just added a simple little playlist here of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, both the video and the audio. And some of the settings here, I'll just go down here first. So we've got quality. This uses adaptive streaming, so it'll adjust to the speed of your internet. You can have captions on or off. I've got it by default with captions on. If I just play
in August 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech that would define the civil rights movement and his legacy.
I think it was just showing. I'm not sure what's happening. Let's go back to the audio. This
is
a hot day in August what the audio looks like.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a speech that would define the civil rights movement.
That was just, I'm not sure what's happened. It's the first time I've seen that. I'll check that. It might be a setting back because I was fiddling around with it this morning. We can share, so you have the opportunity to share. I've also added this little download option here. You can have this or not, but this enables people to get multiple forms of transcription immediately available to them. And remembering this is happening straight after the session. So, well, if it is a session, in this case, it's just obviously some recorded files. They can take the audio away. It could be a text or a SRT, a captions file as well. bunch of other options, and this is the most powerful part of this, though. Actually, I'll just refresh that. I'm not sure. I was fiddling around with it just prior to the session. I might have just left something. Either that or I'm getting support to look at this. They may be actually working with it in the background. I think that's what might be happening, because I was encouraging them to work on it prior to the session, and they may have just got to it. Okay, so that's what I think is happening. This is the search widget. Again, this is just a simple little code snippet. This can be placed anywhere. There's a few different forms. This can be standalone. I put it on a couple of standalone pages, either as a subdomain or dedicated custom domain. So you could have it just all by itself, or you could have it embedded on a page like this. This is a little floating widget, so wherever you go, it just sits there. You can open that up and do all the same things as you can do on the file itself. So, well, let's do this one over here. Let's say we were looking for all the parts where Dr. King says dream. There they are, and we can go to them within the search now. Actually, I think they must be working on it, because normally what happens is you click on this and it shows up actually in the search. So I think some work going on in the background. My apologies for that. Never mind. Let's go over here now. This is what I've added since yesterday. This is the first day's session, the live stream replay from yesterday, and I've added that into a playlist so that each day's session, once Facebook processes the video and pretty much instantly makes it available on my Facebook page. I'm also doing this on YouTube. I'm doing it on Periscope for Twitter and so on. So those videos become kind of almost instantly available. I am automatically taking those into a playlist. That playlist is automatically being shown in this player on my website. I don't have to do anything. I've set it up once. And if I click this and look over here, there's day one of the challenge. I didn't have to do anything more to make this happen. Now, what I could have done, I could have gone into the transcription and cleaned it up a bit. I didn't, just for the sake of this is it, fairly raw. But if we just go a little bit further, there's yesterday's session. And similarly, I've got these options in the player to be able to download those transcriptions and so on. So in this case, we could do the same thing. You know, we could go in, search, was there a time that I said strategy, for example? Yes, I said strategy a few times. Again, summarizing, and there we go, straight to that moment. And I said it again. This is day 3. And you'll see all of the times, and I can make sure, yeah, that's the one I was after. And I can save a lot of time by going exactly where it wants to be. So again, I've overstayed my welcome in terms of the time frames. Hopefully you found this interesting. I love this technology personally. I encourage you to take it on board, and I will be doing everything in my power to support. I mean, the guys have got great support, great training. I'm talking with the lead engineer there in a couple of days to see how, you know, I can assist my community to work with this in ever more powerful ways, because I think this has got so many applications that are going to be quite profound in helping people's mission to get their content out to more people. And so I'm on a mission to work with. This is one of my 2 primary tools I'm going to be introducing you to over the course of this challenge series, that I think can have a dramatic impact on how you do things within your processes. And feel free to ask any questions. If it's searchy specific, of course, their support are there waiting to help, but I'm only too keen to help anyone who wants to start working with these resources, and maybe I've got a few insights that will help the whole equation beyond a technical question. and so on. So let's go back to our day 2. I think we've pretty much addressed our introduction to searching. And tomorrow, just by way of preview, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with a video. It could be a live stream video or a recorded video. And we're going to get pretty close to the 50. We're going to see if we can transform that video into 47, to pick a figure, multiple formats: horizontal, vertical, square, audiogram, and different durations, because different platforms have different requirements. And this is a beast to do manually, as anyone who's tried it would know, and normally give up because it's just too hard. Or you've got to put on team members to do this all day, just clicking buttons and transforming things into shapes and sizes and durations. It's a massive mountain of a task, but we do have a tool that, again, is quite transformational in terms of the ability to work through that task in a very quick, efficient, automated way. And I look forward to showing you that tomorrow. So just by way of final remarks, thank you for being on this journey with me. I do welcome feedback and questions. I'd encourage you to help me deliver the content that you would like to see as we go forward. We've got another couple of days in the formal part, just going through this video transformation into these multiple formats. We'll then look at podcasts and Zoom, but essentially the end result is always the same. I'm trying to help you help your audience get a better result. And if I can do that in ways that aren't immediately obvious to me, please let me know, and I'll do my best to incorporate them in the sessions as we go forward. If you can help me, tell some of your friends about this, so I can just sit here and crank away at this stuff, that would be also very welcomed. And of course, the big prize on offer for doing that is the potential win of a done-for-you service, where I'll do all of this for you for a fair chunk of your content. So hopefully that's encouragement to just let a couple of people know who you feel might also be able to benefit from this. Okay, we'll call that a wrap, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Stay well, and I'll see you then.